Yo, 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 what's going on? It's the NRW, where nerds rule the world. It's your boys, Kuya P, Rob, the movie guy. We are back to do another review, this time for a movie called Flashback. It was originally called The Education of Frederick Fitzel. It's about a chance encounter with a man forgotten from his youth. Fred literally and metaphorically journeys into his past. It's written and directed by Christopher McBride. It stars Dylan O'Brien, Micah Monroe, Amanda Brugel, and others. But before me and my man Rob get into it, we're going to show you the trailer right now. Here we go.
I don't want to be like them. Locked in a prison that they forgot that they're in.
What prison?
Yes.
I am sensing a lack of focus.
You didn't keep in touch with Cindy at all after graduation?
She hasn't even crossed my mind in 15 years.
I do remember Cindy Williams. She just vanished. That was the time when that awful drug went round the school.
Can't shake the feeling.
Something bad happened to her.
One night, we were all in Merc. What does it do to you? We gotta go back. We gotta try to remember what happened to her that night. This is it. This is where it happened. Let's leave. Let's just go.
I'm supposed to be here.
You know something, I know you do. It's not what we think it is.
Life form, which
Whatever you do, just don't take it. I already took it, okay?
It's gonna happen to me.
I'll show you all the possibilities. This is only one of my lives.
I'm not even here! I'm not even here right now!
Boom, there you go. Flashback. Trippy, right? Trippy is gonna be, I think, a key word in this review from me and your boy Rob. First up, yo, Rob, how you doing, man? How you been, man?
I am good, man. I guess I'm a little confused. I feel like I just taken a shot at Mercury after watching this film because I was just baffled by what I just saw. Kind of in a good way, but also like in a little confusing way as well too. I know we and I just kind of discussed about this before we got started. So
Yeah.
I'm going to hear like how our full how we fully comprehended this film at the end of the day, because I was very mixed about it. So
Same, dude. I was blown away. In different ways, not good ways, not bad ways either. But it was weird. And come to find out, when right before me and Rob got started, I was looking to see what other people thought. There's an article on Entertainment Weekly. Dylan O'Brien, the lead, he said he knows that this movie is weird and he loves it. There's a Variety just put out a review, Flashback review, a time loop mystery that's a bit too loopy. And over on Roger Ebert, the big man, gave it 2 stars. This is a movie with a lot on its mind: the nature of time, the nature of fate, the nature of existence itself. Flashback has a narrative that posits that what might have been actually is, or maybe was, in an alternate timeline, and that how we understand time can throw us into catastrophe. Okay, weird editing on the right up there, but yeah, this was a weird film. It came across my way, and then I showed it to Rob through my union. Y'all know I'm a SAG-AFTRA actor, and they're starting to show love to some of the work that we as actors are doing. So shout out to SAG-AFTRA, man. I appreciate you keeping us informed and letting us see the rest of us what we're working and doing. This was a interesting film, to say the least. Trippy is an operative word. I would say for me, the message out the gate was, don't do drugs, people. Don't do drugs, especially not mercury.
Yeah,
this was a trip.
Yeah.
I don't want to do like the regular breakdown like we normally do when we do these reviews, and give away the whole plot too much. But it starts off with the death of his mom, apparently, or we think it's his, or she's dying. I don't know. But then he's grieving. He's in the grieving process, which I can understand, and we can all relate. We've all, well, for me, I've lost loved ones, and that's difficult. And so that was very real. And then through that process, he comes across a picture that reminds him of an old girlfriend. And that just starts this trippy journey of recollection, flashbacks, if you will, and where drugs come into play. And that's what I said, don't do drugs unless it's to take care of something else. But I don't know. Sometimes people overdo that. It just, don't do drugs just because of just the crazy nature of this whole film and what it made this person go through. And we see that. That should
have been the title of the movie right there. Don't do drugs. Featuring Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah, it was crazy. What did we see Dylan in before? He looks like a familiar actor.
He was in the Maze of series movies. There was a Maze Trials.
That's it.
I can't remember. Yeah,
that's where I remember seeing. He was in Teen Wolf, but he was the lead guy in the Maze films, the Maze Runner projects.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Teen Wolf. But what'd you think of Dylan O'Brien?
I actually thought he was good in the movie. I don't think he was bad at all. And to be honest with you, I don't think anyone was really bad in the film. I think everyone, as far as their performances were concerned, did a really good job. So I don't think it was the acting was the issue. It wasn't that. In fact, I would even go as far as saying that was probably some of the best things about the movie was just the performances that these actors deliver in the film. They all did a really good job. I mean, we talked about how weird the film is, which it is. But the thing is that, we talked about it before we started recording that, like, I was bored the first 15, 20 minutes of the film. Like, I was literally like just wondering, because the character, Fred, I think is his name, was like moping around the entire time. And it's just him waking up, washing his hand or some shit like that. And I was like, dude, if this is going to be the entire movie, it's going to be a long night. And
it is a slow burn, but it's real shit though. Because you lose somebody or
right. But I mean, again, the pace that they chose to go with that, I'm not against it because I understand this is what I'm assuming this is what they wanted to go approach with taking this story here and having this build up to the middle part of the film and then the remaining parts of the movie. I thought it worked, but not my kind of a film for that type of I don't know, whatever kind of genre this would be called, but it was good up until that part. I mean, it wasn't good up until the part of in the middle of the film where he's looking for the girl, which kind of threw me off because he was having these visions of her, and then he's asking for his friends, whatever happened to her, and they're like, "Well, we don't know," and it becomes like this whole investigation of him trying to find out where she was at, and they try to follow the footsteps of the night of this party, and then that's where things starts to like fall apart. I said to you earlier that I felt like this was kind of like Alice in Wonderland for me, where the deeper the rabbit hole he gets into, the weirder things got. And I was, because they're taking mercury, which I've never taken mercury. I've never ever been around it. But I've heard stories like how severe the consequences are for you to have these major hallucinations. I mean, one of the characters in the show, I'm sorry, in the Alice in Wonderland films books is what's his name? The guy that Johnny Depp played in the Alice in Wonderland movie.
Oh, the cat. The I know who you're talking about, but
that guy. Like apparently, like he's based on a
Mad Hatter. The Mad Hatter.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah. So his character, from what I understand, because I've never read the books, is a guy who's taken mercury and he's just like psyched out of his mind. And so that's kind of what I parallel to this film too. Like this is a guy who's just taking so much shit that it's just never left his system, and now he's like stuck in this reality of like a parallel universe. It's so weird. Like I was confused about that, and then but then again, like I said, the performances were good. So that really kept me engaged, to be honest with you.
I'm with you on that. The performances were great, but at the same time, I was confused. Like I don't know how it went from like your mother, quote unquote, mom dying, and then all of a sudden I can understand your mom dying. You start grieving, but then you come across a picture of a past girlfriend, or is it a girlfriend?
I'm not
And
even sure.
you know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
happily married. And then to me, it made him a very unlikable character because you have this loving wife, but then you're dreaming about this other girl. You're having sex with your wife, but you're thinking about this other girl. And just it's all consuming. You're fucking up at your job. Just everything's happening. And it's just, again, that's where the trippiness and the weirdness came into play. I'm like, I didn't quite understand. And that's where I got tired. I wasn't actually tired at the beginning, which, you know, because I kind of understood like that part of it. But then when you just were going in and out, but I will say with that, I think they had as a film, from a filmmaking standpoint, I love the connected weaving back and forth, you know, to throw it to a positive.
Yeah.
To me, that was very effective, where they kept the shot, because it's difficult as a filmmaker. You got to make sure in your dailies, in your recording, and when you do your cuts, that you're mirroring those shots. So when you go in between and you're doing those snaps, those flashbacks, quote unquote, you know, that was really well done. So shout out to the crew.
The director Christopher McBride, who wrote the film as well too. I give them a lot of props for pulling that off, because I thought the exact same that is not easy to do, and not only that, to find, because there's that kid, which he's having those flashes about, you know, the
and they all made him look the same, similar,
right? So to find actors that look like their younger counterparts and, you know, have the same mark. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. And I give them a lot of, like, that's one of the things that kept me engaged with that. The consistency of the, you know, the older people and the younger people, it was exactly the same. And you can tell from looking at them. And then the way when they're speaking, they cut right in the middle of the sentences and then splice them all together. And not once did I ever felt distracted. In fact, I was like even more intrigued when that had happened. And then once that momentum was lost, I'm like, oh, got right back to, you know.
Because it was weird. And it was trippy, the trippiness and trying to make sense of it all. And and then towards the end, there's some very beautiful cinematic stuff and shot selections that were chosen, and artistic, the artisticness of it was just, okay, I'm feeling this. And then some of like the illustrations, without spoiling things to a degree, where they came up, but then it got mad confusing, because then here he was with this girlfriend that he was seeking, and then what happened to the wife, and you know what I'm talking about towards the end. Yeah, like I got lost, and you enjoyed the ending, you said, but to me, I didn't know where it went. I got confused.
I didn't necessarily enjoy the ending. What I was getting at, without getting to spoilers, is that I actually liked the emotional impact that the ending had, with, you know, the two characters, which we're not going to get into here, but I actually felt that connection with the two characters, where they're reuniting, if you will, or there's a closure between them. And I actually thought that was very effective, but a lot of it had to do with the performances in that song. I have to admit, that song at the end, I dug it. That score to the end of the film, I thought was really beautiful, in my opinion. So in terms of like the approach and the execution of that scene, I thought worked effectively. But, you know, if it wasn't for those performances, it would have fell flat for me. But like I said before, Dylan O'Brien's performance in the film was solid. Like, he really was good. And another thing too that I want to point out is that, because they do flashbacks where he's an adult and then he's back in high school, even though it's the same guy, you can actually see the differences in the ages. So whereas he has a different hairstyle and he actually looks a lot younger, and then when he's an adult, he has a different former hairstyle, a little more fuzz in the face. He actually looks a lot older. So I thought in that regard, the makeup department, when it came to the two different timelines, worked effectively, in my opinion. So, you know, the aesthetics of the film, I thought were handled beautifully. But the actual execution of the story itself, the not knowing what's really going on, that part was difficult for me to comprehend, or not comprehend, just to connect with, really. So that's really why I was like mixed at. But the ending, I loved it. I loved the emotional impact that it had on me. And I said to you earlier, I'm not going to front. I'm going to shed a little tear.
So I'm going to need you to break it down. So I'm going to throw spoilers out there, because I lost myself at the ending. And so I love to get clued in on what I missed. So spoilers, #spoilers right now, because your boy needs the explanation. So at the beginning, it was his mother, right? That was in the hospital. And did she die?
Well, she did die, if I remember correctly. So she died.
Is that
and
what was
then-
it got him into his grieving?
So
process?
he's like in this like whole grieving state of mind at that
Yeah.
point, and his wife is trying to console him, and then and I can't remember exactly what had happened, where he saw something or someone that reminded him of a time back in high school where him and his group of friends were taking mercury, and whatever mercury they were taking was like a high potent thing. And then he starts to reach out to some people, or ran into a friend of his from high school that that he hadn't seen in years, and he's asking his friend, where, do you know what happened to this girl? I forgot her name. So, anyways, long story short, they go through this whole walkthrough again of what had happened that night, and then that's when things starts to escalate at that point, and then that's when you start to realize that what he was actually going through has happened the same time the night that he actually had taken the mercury with the group of friends while they were in high school. That's where it all confused me at, because the two stories were going at the same time, and you can see those transition going back and forth, if you recall. And that's the part where I felt a little lost. And then once it starts to unfold a little bit further, you start to realize that he was technically still under, I guess, the influence of the mercury. So the girl who he was finding, he ends up finding her. She's telling him that you can do whatever you want in this reality. This is why I'm still here, and you can reset or something like that sort. So that's why you see him like restart everything all over again, where he was he's fired from his job for not doing a good job in the presentation, and then all of a sudden he's resetting back because he's going back to go through those steps again to make things right in both realities that he was in, while he was in high school taking a test, and then while he's at his job doing the presentation. So those two stories were paralleling at the same time. And then afterwards, his mother was also telling him that you're not even there anymore, and that there's a separation between the two of them because he's not responsible, which was that part was, I thought, was kind of cheesy. But then you also have flashbacks of how when he was a child and the mother was taking care of him, and he fell down a set of stairs, and it traumatized him apparently even up to that point. So trust me, man, as I'm trying to explain this here to you without making it too complicated.
I'm trying to figure out. So what was the real reality?
I don't know. That's the part I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea. So the end of the film. So now
he's talking with the mom. I think, is that what gave you the sentimental thing?
Right. So he's talking to the mother, and I guess he's made things right for himself. Where before he was dependent on the girl. And then once he realized that he didn't need her, he was telling her, we're not going to be, I don't need to be with you like that anymore. And she's like, okay, fine. Then they kind of go their separate ways. And now he's living his life. You saw the part where he's going to work and he has a presentation. Things are going very well. He had the test done, and things went through successfully for him. So he wasn't struggling anymore. And then he's at the hospital with his mother, and she dies. And that's where he starts to break down, and things start to come to a close at that point. And then there's a flashback where she told a story about how he was a babe. When he was a baby, he ran down the steps by mistake when he didn't listen to her, when she's trying to tell him, come, don't go over there, you're going to get yourself hurt. But this time around, he actually listens, and the traumatizing event never occurred. So now, after whatever she was going through, she succumbs to whatever disease or whatever she has, and they kind of have like a peaceful reunion, if you will, or a proper closure. So I thought in that regard, the way that was handled, I thought was handled very well. And that's where I felt I was connecting to the story in that regard, because I thought it was a nice closure. Because so much shit started happening in the film that once it started to paint itself out in a much more cohesive cohesive manner for me, then it made more sense. But I still don't know what was the real reality. Was this the real thing that was happening, or is he still back at the old abandoned building where the party was being held? I mean, I had no idea. But by that point, I was like, fuck it, this is beautiful. I'm going to take that, and that's what's going on right now. So I ended up going with that. So yeah, see, I'm trying to really hard to try and explain. I'm trying, but the best way for me to explain it to you guys without having to make it too convoluted. But that story is one of those films. This movie is one of those films you have to pay attention, and if you don't, you're lost. And I had rewound it a few times. So just hold on one second. Let me go back 15 minutes again. What happened in that room? So yeah,
it's a movie you probably have to see a couple times to really get it. But at the same time, already seeing it from just one viewing, honestly, it's not a movie I'd want to watch again, you know?
Yeah, it's not.
And I think
it's not
that's
like,
the problem. I'm not that driven by it, you know?
well, I get it, but I think I can see why Dylan, because I remember we talked about before how he was very passionate about this project. He's like, I believe in it, whatever else. I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
why he was very invested with the story.
Oh, yeah.
And you can tell with his performance, but this is not going to be a film for everybody. I know I was thinking about showing this to I'm sorry, talking to my wife about this, and not even 2 seconds she's like, okay, I get it, and that was it. And I was like, all right, well, it's not going to be for everybody. This is
Yeah.
not a film that you can release in theaters and expect big box office returns. This is more like an artsy house film,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I'd agree.
A very well put artsy house film, I think.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to reach out. This is not going to connect with everybody, and those that
Yeah.
it does connect with, I think they're going to find some things about the film. The more you watch it, about, oh, now I understand this, or what's the metaphor behind all that. I personally not into that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the approach that this story took in that regard. But
Yeah.
but I enjoyed it for what it was, and if I were to revisit it again, I don't know, I probably have to take some mercury and watch the film to really enjoy it for what it is, because that movie was not very easy to get into.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing as you were talking, and who would I suggest this to? The only people I would suggest this to is if you want to see the effects of drugs and why you should not do drugs, you need to see this film. Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. But then because outside of that, like my normal cast of friends, they would probably be upset if I recommended a film like this. Like, Patrick, here he goes again with them damn art house films. Didn't quite understand shit. Like, man, come on now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do that to them. So this is a film that's hard to recommend by every reason that you stated, Rob. So I completely agree with you. The who I would recommend this film for is, I would actually say, my other filmmaker friends, those at DP, those that do storyboarding, those that do direction, some of the shot selection, like we said. I love the flashback sequences.
Yeah.
Again, those cuts were really done well. So also I would say my editors out there, to do those snapshots, to get your framing right, and to go in between the young, the old, the different sequences was timed right.
And the audio too. You
yeah.
mentioned that succinctly. Yeah.
Done extremely well. And like those points when he was running away from the cops at the end, and then there was like he ran into the room, and then all of a sudden some of the artwork were the same, the storyboards that he was drawing, certain things that we saw, and then it cut to these different sequences. There's like this desert road illustration that was done, and then we pulled into an actual cinematic piece of the characters walking, and then we went to like this Mediterranean style home, it seemed like. So just some of the filmmaking choices,
the techniques behind them, I thought were handled beautifully. Like, I agree with you. I think this is a film that you have to recommend really to like hardcore film lovers, people that know what it takes to make a movie. And I think in a technical aspect of it, this movie is I think succeeds in that department. Yeah. So if you look at the film for on those strengths right there, this is a very well done movie. Yeah. There's really no weakness when it comes to the technical aspect of it. But as far as the story is concerned, like I said before, this to me is like Alice in Wonderland, where the deeper you go into the rabbit hole, the weirder it starts to get. But it's not going to be for everybody. Yeah. But under the technical aspects I said before, it's an accomplishment in my opinion.
All right. I think that's just a great way to end this off, my man, Rob. There we go. That was our flashback review of Flashback with Dylan O'Brien, Micah Monroe, Amanda Brugel, written and directed by Christopher McBride. Check it out if you want to. You've heard what we thought. We would love to hear what you guys think as well. Whether good, bad, the ugly, whatever, let us know in the comments. But until then, Rob, tell them all the amazingness that you've got coming up on the channel with the reviews you do, and being so cool with You're So Cool with Rob Medina.
Well, so yeah, I've got a new show, You're So Cool with Rob Medina. I've already dropped the first 2 episodes. I recommend you guys check them out. I had the guest, David Michael Lapp, producer of the Sharknado films and the TV shows Z Nation and Black Summer. Great guest, along with Ashlyn Yenny, who was fantastic as well too, who started in the new film Antidote. So I recommend you guys check those out. I got some upcoming guests in the works for now that kind of tight-lipped at the very moment. But you can also check out the reviews I've done on the channel as well too. I've got an upcoming series that I'm working on right now for The Purge that I'm really excited to get into. Mix about the series, but still excited nonetheless. But you can check me out on my social media accounts as well. You can follow me on Instagram, Rob_Medina0585, on Twitter, RobMedina0585, and on Facebook, simply just Rob the Movie Guy.
There you go. My man, Rob, appreciate you, bro, so much. Check out You're So Cool with Robert Medina, man. He's fantastic in all of his amazing reviews. Love it. Your boy, Kuyapi, you can follow me at Strange Since 1977, as well as at Temple Far East, over at the Nerds of Color, where we give you POC perspective within pop culture, and my Filipinx show, Showpal Show, at Showpal Show on everything, as well as here at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. Rob the Movie Guy, Kuyapi. We're out of here until next time. Love y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We're